Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And how I missed this over the summer, I just don't know. Other than the fact so much was going on so quickly, and I was planning my escape from New York, and then I was taking my trip across the country. However, this news clip, and I'm not sure when it's from, quite frankly, at this point, it could actually be something that was around a while back, or maybe it's recent, that Lou Dobbs put out there really is telling. I had not seen this really anywhere, but we're going to go over it, and it's from an archbishop. Now, disclaimer alert, okay? I'm not a huge fan of organized religion. I'm not sitting here promoting the Catholic Church. I know there are many a legitimate concern with Catholicism, the Jesuits, their power structure throughout the globe, but especially inside of Europe, their influence, their cover-up, especially of the vast amount of pedophilia that has gone on within the organization. So let me put that out there way before we get going, okay? But these clips are so on the money, and I'm not trying to make this about Lou Dobbs or Donald Trump or the Catholic Church. What I am trying to make this about is that you have somebody coming out there and saying, hey, this great reset is the real deal, and it is to bring in dark forces and a quote-unquote new world order. And if you have not seen my film yet, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, after we do this video, check it out in the playlist section. So before we get going, I want to remind everybody, I don't know if I'm harmful content. Maybe I'm borderline content. Can't tell. Demonetized 7 months ago. Asked for a review on my channel 6+ months ago. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. We haven't heard back. It's so weird. So I need your support now more than ever. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. If you can, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. I am extremely serious when I need you to check out the documentary films. If you're just here because you've come across my election coverage or my Epstein stuff, if you're a casual and you don't know what's really going on in the world, you don't understand what the true power structure is. It's not just libtards and the hard left, okay? There's a lot going on, guys. And that's why I'm trying not to make this about the election so much, as if you watched my earlier and exclusive Rockfin stream today, okay, let's refresh it so everybody can see what I'm talking about, and make a free account right now after the video as well, so you can go check it out. But that's all going to remain exclusive. We're doing it Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, for free live, and then we turn it premium. But if you go watch that, and you don't realize that today's the day that you're going to start seeing some media outlets probably call it for Joe Biden, and that's not a great thing. Whether you think Joe Biden won or he didn't, or there was corruption or not, Chaos 2020. We're here, baby. So let's get into it. Catholic Archbishop warns Trump that forces of evil working against him to execute a great reset. So this is an article from yesterday, and Flynn actually tweeted out the entire letter here, okay, the day before Halloween. And obviously Flynn has been uber pro-Trump. We can get into that. Look, I think Flynn got a raw deal. That doesn't mean I love Michael Flynn or his policies. The Logan Act, I've been screaming about the Logan Act and foreign entities, big corporations colluding with our government unconstitutionally via Bilderberg for a decade and a half plus. A decade and a half plus. And they use it on this guy in a perjury trap? Come on now. Come on now. So this is the dude right here, and I didn't realize that Donald Trump had actually tweeted it out all the way back in June, I think 4 days after it was penned. And he asked everybody to read it. Okay, and we are actually going to read it. But before we read it, I want to play these two clips. So this is the one that got my attention. Again, if anybody can find me the full video on this, let's do it.
Quote, "We have seen the deep state organize itself well in advance to carry out the most colossal electoral fraud in history in order to ensure the defeat of the man who has strenuously opposed the establishment of the New World Order that is wanted by the children of darkness. Well, joining us tonight, Sid.
So that is actually from, if you read it, November 4th. So I would assume that's last night. We're going to play a clip where Dobbs covered him covering the Great Reset. So this guy came out after the election, said it was fixed. We're going to read his letter from over the summer, but here's a sampler of what we're going to get from this letter. And again, props to Lou Dobbs for being, Tucker Carlson covers a lot, but does he cover stuff like this?
Catholic Archbishop Carlo Vigano. In an open letter to President Trump, he said, among other things, quote, "A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all humanity, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations."
Sorry about the spooky music. It's where I could find the clip, guys. So that was probably from earlier in the summer, or maybe it was from last night as well, talking about this. Let's read the entire article, okay? We do it live. Thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share. This is the Archbishop, okay? Here we go. And this was in June. In recent months, we have been witnessing the formation of two opposing sides that I could call biblical: the children of light and the children of darkness. The children of light constitute the most conspicuous part of humanity, while the children of darkness represent an absolute minority. And yet the former are the object of a sort of discrimination which places them in a situation of moral inferiority with respect to their adversaries, who often hold strategic positions in government, in politics, in the economy, and in the media. A lot of truth to that statement, guys. Again, we don't really push organized religion here. We don't push institutions here, especially ones as corrupt as the Catholic Church. But nailed it on that one in an apparently inexplicable way. The good are held hostage by the wicked and by those who help them, either out of self-interest or fearfulness. Fear's the great motivator, everybody. These two sides, which have a biblical nature, follow the clear separation between the offspring of the woman and the offspring of the serpent. On the one hand, there are those who, although they have 1,000 defects and weaknesses, are motivated by the desire to do good, to be honest, to raise a family, to engage in work, to give prosperity to their homeland, to help the needy, and in obedience to the law of God, to merit the kingdom of heaven. Now, look again, I'm going to say it. I agree with about 80% of that sentence. I have 1,000 defects. I am an imperfect being. I want and strive to do all those things. My nieces are upstairs. I cooked up some eggs and cheese earlier because the one was hungry. I wish they were in school right now. Again, it's still part-time. Come on, let's get it together, Iowa. Let's go. But that may not be a choice if this election is stolen. Okay? I'm just saying that. But again, I'm not calling the election. I'm not saying it's being stolen. Don't take me off the air, YouTube. Oh, no. But again, I agree with a lot of that. And by the way, work is hard. If people think that this is just like totally easy, it's not. It's not. I have tech issues all the time. I have issues just covering what media and trying to remain as honest and right as possible, right? Not hold back. Just saying, guys. On the other hand, there are those who serve themselves. Do as thou wilt, anybody? Who do not hold any moral principles, who want to demolish the family and the nation, exploit workers to make themselves unduly wealthy, foment internal divisions and wars, and accumulate power and money. For them, the fallacious illusion of temporal well-being will one day, if they do not repent, yield to the terrible fate that awaits them far from God in eternal damnation. And let me say this, even if you don't believe in a heaven or hell, even if you're not, into that sort of thing, I believe in one thing in this universe. I don't know what's going to happen when it's all over. I don't know, I don't make authoritative religious statements, but I'll tell you this. This is an authoritative Jason Burma statement right here. YouTube, take me off if it's too harmful. The two things, it's one thing really. You call it morality, but it's two things that exist in this universe. And there is no gray area here. Good and evil exist. They exist. Period. There are some things that are inherently one way or the other. Make no mistake about it. In society, Mr. President, these two opposing realities coexist as eternal enemies, just as God and Satan are eternal enemies, good and evil. And it appears that the children of darkness, whom we may easily identify with the deep state, which you wisely oppose, and which is fiercely waging war against you in these days, have decided to show their cards, so to speak, by now revealing their plans. They seem to be so certain of already having everything under control that they have laid aside the circumspection that until now had at least partially concealed their true intentions. The investigations already underway will reveal the true responsibility of those who managed the COVID emergency, not only in the area of health, but also in politics, the economy, and in the media. This guy's doing it big. This is in June, calling out all these institutions via COVID-1984. Again, this isn't about religion, and in large part, although it is an open letter to Trump, it's not about him. It's shining light on darkness, guys. Opposing evil with good. We will probably find that in the colossal operation of social engineering, there are people who have decided the fate of humanity, aggregating of themselves the right to act against the will of citizens and their representatives in the governments of nations. We will also discover that the riots in these days were provoked by those who, seeing that the virus is inevitably fading and that the social alarm of the pandemic is waning, necessarily have had to provoke civil disturbances, because they would be followed by repression, which, although legitimate, could be condemned as an unjustified aggression against the population, pitting populations against one another. Okay, just like when we go over the taking down of statues and Tucker Carlson talking about frog marching these people out and calling them terrorists, or even Trump talking about a year in prison for somebody that burns a flag. No. You rip down a statue, okay? It's like ripping down any other statue. You should, be charged with it as a regular crime, etc. We don't need to give you terrorist charges, etc. No. Flag, free expression. Sorry, I'm not with you there. You don't want to ramp up the police state. You don't want to have tech hearings where you sit there and grill these guys, grill them, or not, or tell them you love them, basically. Prop them up there, say it's a witch hunt, but then call for more censorship. Say, why aren't you censoring this and censor that? And, excuse me, make it a left-right issue, okay? And I know a lot of you out there that are into the occult aspects of this, the religious battles out there. There's a left-handed path of magic and there's a right-handed path of magic. But those that would read something like this and believe in it, that are believers in heaven and hell, well, they would just tell you that both those hands of magic, okay, they're magic and they're bad. They're bad. I'm not here to tell you any of that. Again, I'm going to tell you I don't know, and that all I know is that good and evil exist, and that there are men and women out there, a predator class, that are doing just what this man has penned on paper. We will also discover that the riots in these days were provoked by those who... Oh, wait, we already did that one. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see. The same thing is also happening in Europe in perfect synchronicity. It is quite clear that the use of street protests is instrumental to the purposes of those who would like to see someone elected in the upcoming presidential elections who embodies the goals of the deep state and who expresses those goals faithfully and with conviction. It will not be surprising if, in a few months, we learn once again that hidden behind these acts of vandalism and violence, there are those who hope to profit from the dissolution of the social order so as to build a world without freedom. Solve et coagula, as the Masonic adage teaches. He even throws in a little masonry in there, guys. Just saying. Although it may seem disconcerting, the opposing alignments I have described are also found in religious circles. There are faithful shepherds who care for the flock of Christ. But there are also mercenary infidels who seek to scatter the flock and hand the sheep over to the devoured by ravenous wolves. Think about that. He's even calling out people inside his own church and other religious organizations. You gotta love this. That's why we're reading the whole thing. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share, everybody. It is not surprising that these mercenaries are allies of the children of darkness, minions of the predator class, guys, and hate the children of light. Just as there is a deep state, there is also a deep church that betrays its duties and forswears its proper commitments before God. Thus, the invisible enemy, invisible empire, a new world order defined, anybody? Whom good rulers fight against in public affairs is also fought against by good shepherds in the essential sphere. It is also a spiritual battle, which I spoke about in a recent appeal, which was published on May 8th. For the first time, the United States has in you a president who courageously defends the right to life, who is not ashamed to denounce the persecution of Christians throughout the world, who speaks of Jesus Christ and the right of citizens to freedom of worship, your participation in the March for Life, and more recently, your proclamation of the month of April and National Child Abuse Prevention Month are actions that confirm which side you fight on. And I dare to believe that both of us are on the same side in this battle, all but with different weapons. Now again, I know it's a hot button issue, the right to life, pro-life, whether Trump's a true Christian. Look here, this isn't a MAGA train. We're not going to ignore the fact of his multiple marriages and infidelities and paying for sex. We go on. The guy's no choir boy, okay? But, again, you look at this, and you look at especially the National Child Abuse Prevention, and you look at him at least speaking out against the abuse of children. What other presidents are doing that? And just on the flip side of that, you know, whether or not he's a Christian, he certainly speaks out against the persecution of Christians, which I think is a good thing. Fake Christians, listen, people that constantly want your money and the plate. We notice he talked about those wolves in sheep's clothing taking their flock. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about. Who I'm talking about, shout out to Kaler Carpenter. You want to know about a great organization that you can give to and help, a local one? Oneonta Rides, Oneonta Rides, Oneonta Rides. My boy Kaler Carpenter back in my hometown. Maybe the best person I've ever known. He's right now raising a family that, you know, he was just trying to start when we first met each other. He's probably the most honest person I know. And, you know, he's a devoted Christ follower. There's no doubt about it. And I have no animosity or hate towards that. And he has no animosity or hate towards me. In fact, he's always had nothing but love towards me and many other people. So I'm just pointing that out. For this reason, I believe that the attack to which you were subjugated after your visit to the National Shrine of St. John Paul II is part of the orchestrated media narrative, which seeks not to fight racism and bring social order, but to aggravate disproportions, not to bring justice, but to legitimize violence and crime, not to serve truth, but to favor one political faction. And it is disconcerting that there are bishops, such as those whom I recently denounced, who by their words prove that they are aligned on the opposing side. They are subservient to the deep state, to globalism, to align thought to the new world order, which they invoke ever more frequently in the name of a universal brotherhood, which has nothing Christian about it, but which evokes the Masonic ideals of those who want to dominate us, the world, by driving God out of the courts, out of the schools, out of the families, and perhaps even out of the churches. The American people are mature and have now understood how much of the mainstream media does not want to spread the truth, but seeks to silence and distort it, spreading the lie that is useful for the purpose of their masters. They're masters in the predator class, guys. I'm telling you, this thing hits on so many important issues. How did I miss it? How did I miss it? However, it is important that the good, who are the majority, wake up from their sluggishness and do not accept being deceived by a minority of dishonest people with unavowable purposes. It is necessary that the good, the children of light, come together and make their voices heard. What more effective way is there to do this, Mr. President, other than by prayer, asking the Lord to protect us, the United States, and all of humanity from the enormous attack of the enemy? Before the power of prayer, the deceptions of the children of darkness will collapse. Their plots will be revealed, their betrayal will be shown, their frightening power will end in nothing, brought to light and exposed for what it is, an infernal deception. So let me take just, a little bit of, a little bit of a pause here and say, look, that's great if you pray. I'm not saying that prayer can't be powerful. I'm not going to get into religion, but just putting your mind to something, okay? Thinking it, speaking it out loud, putting it out to the universe. You want to call that the secret, the force, that balance of good and evil, whatever. I'm warning people about the hopium that prayer brings as well. You pray, that's fine. You need to take action. It's just like if you can look up to something or somebody's writing or somebody's, position, that's great. You need to take action. You need to be your own hero. Okay? Period. You have to take, even if it's small within your own life, it's not just going to be prayer. This is where we're a little bit different here. Okay? I want to put that out there. Mr. President, my prayer is constantly turned to the beloved American nation, where I had the privilege and honor of being sent by Pope Benedict the 16th as Apostolic Nuncio. In this dramatic and decisive hour for all of humanity, I am praying for you and also for all of those who are at your side in the government of the United States. I trust that the American people are united with me and you in prayer to Almighty God. United against the invisible enemy of all humanity, I bless you and the First Lady and beloved American nation and all men and women of goodwill. And again, we also played that clip afterwards, after the fact, of him saying, the people behind this want to bring in that global reset. I think this guy hit it out of the park with this. Out of the park. And you can disagree with me. That's fine. Do so in the comments section. Everybody else, we got 307 likes, 800 plus watching. Let's get it to 500. Let's thumbs it up on the way out. I want to remind you guys what you probably heard right now. Even it was reading an archbishop's letter to human beings, really an open letter to the president, but speaking to all of us. That might be harmful content. I don't know, but we're fully demonetized here. $5, $10, $15. Big donors. Couldn't do it without you. Again, you want to know who the invisible enemy is? You want to know about that new world order he just talked about? Invisible Empire, a new world order to find is free right here, right now in the playlist section. You can't miss it. So are my other films, Shade the Motion Picture, also very important. Loose Change Final Cut and Fabled Enemies. But go check that out right now. And if you don't already have a free account on Rockfin, go Rockfin, go Rockfin, go Rockfin. You make a premium one, great. You're supporting me, great. If you have a premium account through somebody else, great. You get all the premium content. But right now, if you go over there after the video, You can see today's exclusive, live and exclusive, Monday through Friday, free, 11 a.m. Eastern. Come join the fun, because I might get kicked off here without explanation. We're in that era of censorship. All right, we're here. We've been here for a while, and it's going to keep rolling, guys. So thanks for joining me. I absolutely love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side. It is not about left or right, guys, by the way. Good and evil, you betcha.